Ahora sí, ahora viene una discusión muy interesante y un invitado muy importante para nosotros, que viene pues del otro lado del mundo, from the other part of the world. Ya está aquí con nosotros y también nos van a acompañar dos personas que han estado ya con... Una persona que ya han visto que ha dado una charla antes, que es Claudia, y también una persona que mañana va a dar una charla acerca de Machine Learning y MLOps, que es Jenny Lucía. Esta persona que nos va a acompañar viene desde Brisbane, desde Australia, y pues se llama Mike Chambers, y él es AWS Machine Learning Hero, y pues enseña también, tiene sus cursos en línea de Machine Learning, y pues viene a contarnos cosas interesantes y a discutir principalmente entre las diferencias entre Perú y pues el otro lado del mundo, que es Australia, y cómo es que vamos ahí. Ahora vamos a conversar un momento con él y lo van a conocer y pues vamos a divertirnos juntos. Ahí lo voy a agregar entonces ahora mismo. Yes. Hi, Mike.
Hola. How are you? I'm good, thank you. Good, thank you. I'm gonna say this. Hola, gracias por invitarme.
Whoa.
How was that?
No, that was a nice try. That was a nice try.
Thank you.
Yes, as I mentioned it, I have a special connection with Australia also, because the family of my wife, they all live in Australia and Sydney, and well, you live near Brisbane is near. I don't know exactly.
Yes, yeah.
I know it's tomorrow there, right there. Right now it's like breakfast time, I think.
Yes. After this, I shall be going to have breakfast. Yes, it's Sunday morning, so Sunday morning breakfast is a little bit later than normal. So yes, after this, I'll be having breakfast.
Well, great. I'm sorry to have you to wake up early to make this.
It's an absolute pleasure. Great. I've been sat here for a little while just watching some of the other presentations, so it's been great.
Yeah, of course. So we're not here alone. I'm going to introduce again Claudia to the stage. Hi, Claudia. How are you?
Hi.
Claudia is working on a company that develop machine learning applications, and really cool. We'll have to talk about later about that. And also Jenny Lucia, that is with us today. She's a machine learning engineer from Rappi. This is a delivery company, very company in Latam. So we are here just to talk about. I'm going to be the moderator here. Claudia, you, Mike, and Jenny are the experts in machine learning and artificial intelligence, and we have to discuss a few great things, to compare both countries, both Peru and Australia, and figure it out what are the key differences between developing machine learning applications here and developing in the other side of the world. Maybe have to see if there is a lot of differences in how we can make the bridge shorter, and what we can do to develop better ML skills. For example, you can talk about, Mike, maybe a few things about how things are going in artificial intelligence in Australia. I heard about a flying cab taxis and something like that. It's really cool. I don't know if you know about it. I heard about in some article. I don't know. But I don't know what other things we can find talking in this panel. So I'm going to put 4 topics, and we're going to discuss it. And I have it on the screen. So to talk about it. So the first thing we have to talk about is how hard is to find a machine learning job or artificial intelligence job in Peru and Australia. How hard it is? It is well paid, or it is really difficult? We have a lot of professionals, a lot of demand, or they are not. I don't know. What do you think, Mike?
Well, I think it's a really interesting question, and I think it's a really interesting time to ask that question as well. So I think the reason why a lot of people focus on this and sort of get, and maybe a little bit concerned about it, is because they see machine learning and artificial intelligence as it has been over the last few years. Over the last few years, we've seen this big explosion in the research and the infrastructure to build amazing products that we use, like Alexa devices, Echo devices, obviously from that Martin's display just then, to the algorithms that sit behind the scenes in popular applications that we use, and these are like big. Famous, if you like, applications of machine learning, and of course as well in the back end for medical research and things like that. So we see these huge efforts being put into this space. But I think we're in a real pivotal place right now, and I think that we are really just at the very beginnings of starting to get real value from machine learning. I think that's a really exciting opportunity, and I think that that means that the types of jobs that we can see in this market are just much bigger than they were before. And so, just briefly, if you look at the AWS's machine learning stack, and you look at the underlying infrastructure, you've got that those big pieces of equipment where you can go, and if you are an academic researcher and you want to throw large amounts of data around with very complex processing, you can do that. You've got that middle tier then, where you've got SageMaker. If you know that the algorithm exists and you want to build your own models, then you can do that. And then you've got that top layer then of artificial intelligence services, so you can develop things really quickly and develop your applications quickly to use voice recognition and to use anomaly detection. Now we've got all these types of things. So you've got multiple levels that you can approach this at. And I would suggest that more and more of the what we would consider to be everyday IT jobs are going to be expected to hook into machine learning. So I guess that's a bit of a picture that I wanted to paint. Like it's yes, you can still go and find machine learning specific jobs where your knowledge of machine learning algorithms is important. But more and more, we are now going to be trying to get value out of everyday data sets using machine learning, using services that aren't necessarily that hard to use.
So great, Mike. Please, Clau, go ahead.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And from a business perspective, I'm the owner of a company, so I think, on the other side of finding professionals that can do these machine learning algorithms. And more, we are seeing that sometimes it's easier to cross-train someone from a different field, like a developer or maybe a data analyst, and start teaching them machine learning tools, and especially leveraging the top services on AWS to be able to give value really quickly, and not maybe focus on that like really deep level of building our own machine learning algorithm. I think that's a really interesting take that you gave there.
Okay, that's great. And that's business perspective. What about from the professional perspective? For example, for you, Lucia, you're working for a company that develops machine learning applications for a delivery company big in Latam. What do you find this? Do you think finding an ML job is difficult, or not? You're working in different countries. I mean, in different times of the year. The last year you're working in another company also, and now you're working in Rapid. So tell us about it.
Well, I think that finding a job like machine learning engineer is as difficult as any job in technology, where they always ask for years of experience and the knowledge of many tools and concepts. But I will be maybe positive with this point of view, because I think that what really matters is that job description, because you need to match with the requirements that of the company is looking for. So I mean, there are many types of machine learning engineers. There are software machine learning engineers. I identify myself as software engineer machine learning. There are also applied machine learning engineer, core machine learning engineer, machine learning engineers focus on infrastructure. So the companies have different job descriptions according to the maturity level of their machine learning process. And I believe that identifying which are the strengths we have uh, in these areas. I mean, computer science, data science, or data engineering, where we stand now, it could help to make it easier to reach a position in this world.
Great. And it leads me to the next questions actually. If we find easier or hard to find a job, what do we need to enhance? What cloud skills we need to enhance specifically? Talking about exactly in the terms of when we use the cloud, everything in machine learning is easier. You don't have to learn a lot of statistics. I think that is my opinion. I don't think what you think. You're smiling, but
Oh, it's easy. Yeah, just click a button.
of course.
Well, no, actually, that is something that AWS is trying to do, right? So you have lots of automation being built around this space. The thing is, it moves so quickly, and the people who are working in machine learning are also applying machine learning to the space of machine learning. And so, we saw that with the products and services that AWS came out with at reInvent. Now we're applying sort of underlying machine learning technologies to be able to pass through our data sets. So yeah, in terms of the skill sets that I guess we can actively ourselves try and participate in. Look, I thought it was really insightful what we've just been talking about there about upskilling people in an organization to get the machine learning skills on top of what they already have. And I think that speaks to the domain knowledge conversation. Actually understanding the data you have, because data is underlying all of this. Without data, there is no machine learning. So actually understanding the data you have, maybe understanding the data you don't have, understanding how to manipulate data and to analyze data, I think is really important. And having either the domain level knowledge of the data that you're working with or knowing how to work with somebody who has that, I think that's really important. Then it's just a case of trying to stay up to date with what's happening in the space. And that's not to say that it's a constant fight, but there's so much coming out all the time, new services that sort of add value. We're used to that with cloud and cloud technologies and cloud architectures in general, but it happens even more so in this space. And I think having a creative flair actually I think is really useful in this space, because if you're expecting to come into machine learning and expecting to be able to, I push this button and this thing happens, that's not always what happens in machine learning. Sometimes you push this button and it all falls in a heap, and then you have to figure out a different way to push this button and slowly iterate and build in and get an intuition for what's happening and be a little bit more creative than you are potentially in everyday IT. So maybe somehow letting go of that and embracing that is a skill in itself.
Wow, that's awesome. And for example, one of the things that comes to my mind every time I have to learn something new in machine learning is when we use the cloud, for example, AWS and all the products that AWS have, every reinvent, we have less excuses to learn machine learning. Actually, every time and every year after year, you don't have to learn the basic stuff that maybe people 10 years before have to learn statistics, have to learn mathematics, and have to maybe have master or PhD to learn something. Like actually with the cloud, you have very fast. For example, SageMaker, Autopilot, or for example any kind of recognition and these AI services that can really, you can adopt it really fast, and companies adopt it really fast, right? For
Yeah,
example,
yeah. If I can, just quickly, I just want to add a couple of services into that list you're talking about there. Really interesting, I think, really interesting direction that AWS has gone in for this past reInvent. Two products particularly, Monitron and Panorama. These are physical devices you can get that meet a particular use case in a particular vertical market, or potentially, where you can just buy this product off the shelf and essentially apply it into your workflow. And this, I think, is that very much this acknowledgement that we have productized machine learning. It's not yes, it's a specialist skill still, and yes, you still need to have some knowledge about how these things work, but it's becoming mainstream. That's what I'm trying to say. It's becoming mainstream to get that value from business for now these physical products that you can get hold of.
Great.
I think that adopting machine learning now is much more easier than it was many years ago. I think these products really make you think more about the data and how and what do you want to achieve as a business. And I'm seeing more services like AWS Personalized, where you can just output data and start sending events and seeing much more rapid business value. And I think that's much easier to sell even to clients than the whole machine learning process, because making new algorithms, it's a whole process that I think a lot of people don't understand. I think we like to sell machine learning as the result, and I think that's what most people in that business see, like, hey, you can have AI and look, magic. It's like you push a button and suddenly you have like image recognition, and there is actually a lot of work that happened to make that. And I think for business, it's much easier to start with maybe like an AWS service that's already pre-packed, like personalized recognition. And when they start to understand more and what are the limits of those services, to go into a deeper level to solve their particular problem.
Carlos, you're muted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm muted. And for that perspective, Claudia, and also and goes for you, Jenny. Also, do you think actually Peruvians are adopting ML? How do you see that? For example, Claudia, you as the maker of products, and Jenny as the one who developed products from a company. Do you think we are adopting well in Peru, or what else we need to start working better in machine learning?
Yes, we are adopting very well the data science step first. As data scientists, I think we are doing it very well. The companies in Peru are moving to these MLOps, this machine learning engineering movement or stage, but not many companies in our country are developing machine learning models or machine learning products end to end. I work for Rimac 2 years. Rimac has been working a lot to build a reliable MLOps platform. I think they are the one that are doing this work in Peru. There are also some banks, but I think that for them is difficult. But yeah, I think there are a lot of people in Peru very interested in these topics. They are working as machine learning engineers. They want to move to MLOps platform, to create a MLOps platform in-house. But I think they have also some kind of stoppers, like the IT department is not prepared very well to support new technologies, new pipelines, new process. So yeah, I think the Peruvian companies are doing, also money, are doing very well, but we are in a early stage compared to another countries.
Yeah, we are on the early stage from your perspective. And then, Cloud, what do you think?
Yeah, inside Kaleidos, we also built products. We have a product called Titan X, which is a learning platform. And because last year of the pandemic, a lot of all education became virtual all of a sudden. And one of the necessities was to have virtual proctoring. And it's actually real expensive to have humans on the other end trying to monitor a lot of screens of students. So we decided to use Amazon Recognition to actually build an e-proctoring system in order to like check automatically if someone is cheating, if someone is off the screen, if someone else games in the stream. And actually using recognition was a really fast way to get to this and achieve a really fast time to market, which as a company I understand, and it's really important. And being able to launch this service really fast instead of like going really deep down the level and figuring out all the stuff ourselves. That was really nice perspective, and I think a lot of companies, there's a lot of opportunity in a lot of companies in Peru to do that also.
So we are agreeing that with Lucia that she said that we are on the early stage. So,
Yes.
It's our opinion here. It's our opinion. People are listening to us right now, and obviously we don't have a 23 million people of Peru saying that yes, we are on the early stage, but people who is actually working in ML industry has the right word to say actually about this. So Mike, that question to you, for example, in Brisbane or in Australia, how they are adopting, how you are adopting machine learning. We are in the early stage. How about Australia?
Well, gosh, I don't know if I feel entirely comfortable about representing the whole of Australia, but I will see what I can do. So I suppose I am aware of machine learning native consultancies springing up. For example, there are some here in Brisbane where I live that are focused at just working in that space. There are the CSIRO, which is our government-based scientific institution. They do a lot of work in this space as well. The thing I'm seeing, because I talk with businesses about AWS in general all the time, not just about machine learning. And the thing I'm noticing is that machine learning is becoming more and more part of a lot of companies. So yes, we've got that sort of focused areas where we have those consultancies, but we are having people who are sort of starting to realize the benefit of the data that they have. And so they have platforms where they're amassing lots of customer data or amassing lots of back-end medical data, for example. And now they're saying, okay, well, and so now what can we do with that data? What answers can we get from it? And I think part of the challenge there is, and Claudia, maybe you can talk to this as well, but it's in terms of that marketing push, it's working with the end user, if you like, of this data to make sure that they understand what's actually possible. And so we're actually having constructive conversations about what questions we can answer from our data and what just simply isn't possible because that's just not knowable. So setting the right frame around what we can do to adopt machine learning. Yeah, I don't know if that answers the question. I don't see this massive wave particularly here in Australia. It is something that a few of us are trying to sort of get to the bottom of so that we can try and find what's happening here. I guess because of language a lot, we tend to consider ourselves, I suppose, taking part in a sort of global conversation about machine learning. What I see as well, I'll just finish off on this one. Fintech. Jenny, you mentioned before about banks. Financial tech often drives this in local markets. That's what I see. So I talk to people in different countries like North America, in Europe. Spoke to someone in Nigeria the other day. And it's often those fintech that drives a lot of this because different markets have different local requirements and regulation around the way those things work. And so products almost need to be specific for the market. So there absolutely is stuff happening in the fintech space in Australia, and I see that happening elsewhere too with very different requirements.
Yeah, and I think like places with a lot of data, as you said, Jenny, I think especially from the data analyst side, data science side, we're starting to take advantage of machine learning algorithms, and especially those big companies that already got this amazing amount of data that they taking advantage of. Like they're sitting, last we said, in a gold mine, but they're actually going mining. So I think more and more also in Peru, these companies are realizing that and are starting to invest in ML products and ML technology in general.
Great. Great. I think we have a very good understanding of the topics. It's really, really awesome to have these differences and see what else happening in different countries. Uh, there's a lot of things also to think about when we think about machine learning and adoption and profiles also. So I have very interesting questions here from the chat, and maybe we have some little time to answer these questions. Um, there's a good one here. What is the pros or cons of using serverless architectures for machine learning? That's a good one, right? And for example, that's one of the announcements on the last re:Invent was we can use containers and lambdas right now. So the possibilities are wide open right now for machine learning. And maybe people are thinking, yes, I can maybe wrap a TensorFlow all inside our Docker container, because maybe with Lambda layers we don't have that flexibility, and now with containers we have that. What do you think about that? Or what else do you think, Claudia, Mike, and Jenny? Maybe in your experience, did you see adopting? Do you see in the 2021 adopting serverless for machine learning, or is it really in what do you think about that?
Who wants to take that one?
That was a tough one. I know.
In my experience, well, in some production models, I didn't see serverless architectures because there are a lot of requests for a specific machine learning model. So we choose to use containers, Kubernetes, in order to deploy this model. But I guess it could be better to use serverless architectures, or maybe serverless like Lambdas and API Gateway for an early stage of machine learning model. For example, we used to use Lambdas to deploy batch machine learning models. So if we don't know how many requests are we going to do, so we can use serverless architecture. But maybe for a production stage, a production machine learning model, we can think in use robust infrastructure.
Great. Thank you, Jenny. And there's another question. Actually,
Can I just really briefly?
Of course,
sorry.
Go ahead.
Before we move on, I just want to remind people as well. Like yes, you can use Lambda for these types of things, and for the inference side of things, obviously, because we're not going to be using Lambda functions for training models anytime soon, I wouldn't think. But if we're talking serverless, look at the way that SageMaker works. In SageMaker, I call an API. And it spins up infrastructure that I don't manage. It spins up containers that essentially I don't manage, and it does the training, and then it tears the whole thing down again. So you have the opportunity here to get the benefits of what serverless offers, is that I don't have to manage that infrastructure, broadly speaking. And then don't forget as well the artificial intelligence services that we have as well. You look at recognition. Recognition, I overlooked recognition a lot. Recognition was a fantastic demo when it first came out. It can recognize famous faces and all the rest of it. Actually, it's kind of useful in real products too. And now you've got recognition custom labels where you can train up a model inside of a completely serverless image recognition service. So there are really easy ways that we can use serverless methods, if you like, already. And we can look to see how we can progress this by serverless containers, etc.
Great, thank you, Mike. So there's one interesting question I want to just put it on the screen. I think it's going to wrap up a lot of topics that we're talking about here, and it's about the most requested profile in machine learning that you think. Uh, I don't think. I don't know. So what is the most? I don't know. It's difficult, right? Maybe machine learning engineers, and that I gonna made a mix of the questions because these questions from the most requested profile is maybe we can think of different things about that. But what about requesting junior profiles? Not I don't see any, or I can. Yeah, I can think about right now about finding profile for junior. If you have a junior, you're expecting to have a very good model or not? Because while we are talking about in machine learning, artificial intelligence, you don't have to play around with not having a great model. If you have a junior profile, what do you expect? Maybe that's why we always in machine learning they are requesting high level profiles, right? I don't know, maybe for you, Lucia, Claudia, or Mike, what do you think about that? The most requested profile in in artificial intelligence, and also why we are not viewing junior profiles. We also jump to the high level professionals in machine learning.
And I think I can take like the first part. Um, I think it's easier to if companies are starting out to look for the senior profiles because they're ones you can't have a junior profile if you don't have a senior to train them. It can be a little difficult. I think in that regard, it's easier to think more on a cross train. And technically, if you cross train someone, they're actually a junior in machine learning. They can be like a senior software engineer, but when it comes to machine learning, they are actually junior because they're learning, and that's just part of the process. So I do think we have more opportunities to see juniors as people that are cross training. And I think as more people gain more experience and they have more senior level positions, it's going to be easier to have people to train with them that can actually guide them in the process. I think that's part of why maybe there are not so many junior positions being advertised in the job market.
Yeah, I think that there's an interesting thing here. I'm very much a proponent for non-traditional ways of education anyway, and so I get that you can come out of university and you can have all of these skill sets that you've got because you've rewritten TensorFlow and you've done something like that, and that's excellent, and you'll have a level of machine learning knowledge that I could only dream of if you've done that. What I'm seeing and what I'm hearing from businesses who are actually hiring and looking to hire people to do exactly what we've just been talking about throughout this session about getting real business and social value from machine learning is actually show me your results on Kaggle. Show me that you actually know how to apply machine learning. You don't need to make your own algorithms, but show me that you know how to apply algorithms that exist to tackle problems. Being a creative problem solver, like we talked about before, and having obviously it's difficult to get real world experience unless you've got a job in the first place. But seriously, using something like Kaggle platform, entering competitions and having some kind of a profile on there could be way more useful for a potential employer to say, actually, it looks like you know how to use this stuff in the real world, rather than necessarily knowing everything about how the intricate detail of a convolutional neural network layer works. There's places in the world for both of those things, but to get the real value out of data, you got to really know how to use those algorithms. That's what I'd suggest.
Great conversation. Well, I think we're on time. That was a great collaboration with you, Mike. Um, we don't have any time left. I think yes, we're on time. So just to wrap up the session, what are the what do you recommend to Peruvians that are adopting machine learning, or maybe they want to enter this industry and they figure it out? Maybe they have to learn a lot of things, difficult things, maybe for someone, statistics, and as I'm saying again, this. What do you recommend them? Not to be scared about this industry, not to be scared about taking new challenges of new technologies, as Claudia and Jenny said, they are adopting here. There are opportunities here in Peru, so we don't have to be scared to take and to start learning. Also, with the help of the cloud, it's going to be easier. But as you say, Mike, as the beginning of this talk, uh, there are a bunch of new opportunities, and we have to, yes, we have to figure it out how to learn in different ways, and that's something that really inspire. It's going to be inspirational for us to take. So, what is your final thoughts?
Who wants to go first?
Okay, let me start with something little. Um, well, in Peru, we have several profiles to adopt these machine learning engineering practices. So first, I think this is not a pure academic role. Talking about machine learning engineering, you don't necessarily have to have a research or academic background. It's not necessary, but yeah, you need to have experience in software engineering or data science. So ideally, you need both. Um, Computer science fundamentals are important for this role. Also, statistics, probabilities, data modeling, evaluation. So if we need to start, I think that maybe we can choose one of these areas, focus on this, using cloud also, some best practices in software engineering, and then maybe we can start in our companies with some machine learning model and apply our knowledge in first, where are we working, and then maybe we can try to look for another job outside of our countries. But yeah, I think we just need to know about data science, not to be a grand Kaggle master, but yeah, of course you need to know about machine learning models, and of course you need to know about software engineering. And I am a software engineer, so then I start creating some machine learning models, and then to enroll to this position was very easy. So yeah, I think that we just need those areas to start as machine learning engineers.
Carlos, you're muted.
Yeah, again, so it's happening to me. Um, so thank you, Jenny, for the final thoughts. And Cloud, do you have some final thoughts to say about this?
Yes,
Uh,
I think
all the conversation.
there's a lot of opportunities that are going to come, and I think we should always look to learn more and learn new things. Uh, I'm not from a traditional academic background. I don't come from. I'm not actually an engineer, but I'm a lifelong learner, and I have everything I do, all the cloud stuff and all the developer stuff. I know I learned it from courses, from books, online, and I think machine learning is also a thing that there are a lot of resources available right now to go and learn and tackle this new challenge. And I think if you focus on a problem that you want to solve and go see how to solve it, that's like a really nice and practical way to start building things with machine learning.
Great.
Yeah,
Thank you, Cloud.
I want to echo everything that's just been said. I think that's absolutely right. I think when I first started looking at machine learning, I was incredibly intimidated because I did some Google searches and I found mathematical formulas that made my head explode. don't worry. If you want to get into machine learning and you see that and that happens to you, don't worry. You don't have to delve down that deep into that stuff. You can work your way from the middle outwards and find the area that gives you passion, that you're interested in working on. Absolutely. Find a project that you can work on where you're your own domain expert. So you'll need to work with people who are experts in the data that you're using when you're working in the professional world. So find something that you're already a domain expert in and play around with that data. If you're a fitness enthusiast and you've got like lots of fitness tracking data, just use that. If you're a horticulturalist and you've got like plants out in the front yard, get a couple of sensors or something. I don't know. You can find data all over the place. Play around with data that you understand, and just do that. Play around with it and see where you go.
Great, Mike. So I want to thank you for being here, AWS User Group Peru. And really a pleasure to have you here, Mike. I hope it's not only the last time that we chat, that we share the screen. Hope this 2021 bring us new opportunities to just collaborate with the countries. So I would think actually different things that we can talk about as we talk about when we first met in a few weeks ago, right?
Yes, yeah, no, so, I hope so too.
Of course, from here and in the name of the community of Peru, we love you, Mike. That's a great session, and I hope you have a great time. I think here with two great professionals like this, Claudia and Jenny, we talk about we have a lot of fun, and there's outside my expectations here with you. And also, it's great to have you, Mike, and maybe we take a picture? A virtual picture?
Of course, yes. I have to take a picture too. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Of course. So I think this is weird, but this is a virtual picture now. It's a big streaming picture. So 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, I haven't got it.
Wow, that's no worries. Yeah, look, I've got there's a whole bunch of stuff happening here as well. I'm working on some content at the moment, a project that I'm not really sure if I'm supposed to be talking about. It's stuff that has come off the back of reInvent. I have things on tables in the room next door, and maybe I can share that with you at some point. I'd be excited to do that. And yeah. Like my hover taxi, is it my flying taxi is nearly here? So
yeah, I heard something about that. I have to figure it out where I read that. So well, thank you very much, Mike, again, and I hope we can chat in another moment. It will be great.
Thank you, Claudia. Thank you, Jenny.
Have a nice breakfast now.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Well. Bueno, muchísimas gracias. Ha estado muy divertido, la verdad, muy divertido estar con Mike, estar con Jenny. Muchas gracias, Jenny. Muchas gracias, Mike. Muchas gracias, Claudia, por darse el tiempo y por hacer que esto sea posible, conversar. La verdad que ha sido muy interesante. Tenía muchísimas ganas de esto. Todos estábamos muy nerviosos. Ahí Jenny, Claudia, yo también estaba muy nervioso hasta el último momento. Pero ha sido bastante interesante, ha sido bastante divertido, ¿no? Yo creo que le hemos pasado bastante bien, ¿cierto?